Dear family, I almost didn't write this, not because I have nothing left to say, but because I spent most of my life believing silence was easier than disappointing any of you. When my appendix burst, there wasn't time to think. One moment I was convincing myself the pain would pass. The next, I was in an emergency room signing forms with shaking hands while a nurse explained that surgery couldn't wait. I remember one thing with embarrassing clarity. I opened our family group chat and typed, "Emergency surgery, I'm scared." That wasn't a dramatic message. It wasn't asking anyone to cancel their lives. It was simply the truest sentence I had. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. I smiled, thinking someone was on their way. Instead, there was a photo of all of you on the beach. Sunglasses, sand, matching smiles, sending good vibes. Then another message, "You've got this." No one asked which hospital. No one asked if I needed anything. No one came. The surgery went well, they told me later. Recovery didn't. The first night hurt more than I expected. Every movement reminded me that my body had nearly failed me. The nurse adjusted my blanket before I even asked. Another patient across the hall joked that hospital coffee could probably cure loneliness because nobody stayed awake long enough to feel it. Strangers noticed when I looked frightened. My own family didn't notice I had disappeared. At first I kept making excuses for all of you. Maybe reception was bad. Maybe everyone assumed someone else would visit. Maybe vacations are difficult to interrupt. The excuses became harder to believe with every passing day. A friend from work arrived after finishing a 12-hour shift. She brought clean clothes and a phone charger because she said those were the things people always forgot to ask for. She stayed only 30 minutes. It felt longer than every message in the family chat combined. By the 6th day, I stopped checking my phone, not because I wanted to punish anyone, because hope had become exhausting. Healing was simpler than waiting for people who had already answered. The hospital discovered a minor complication, so my discharge was delayed. Oddly enough, I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. There is a strange peace that comes after disappointment settles into something recognizable. Then, on the 7th morning, I picked up my phone. 79 missed calls, most of them from Mom. The latest text read, "Call back now, everything's falling apart." I stared at the screen for a long time. A week earlier, I had believed every vibration meant someone cared enough to come. Now every vibration meant somebody needed something. I didn't call immediately. For the first time in my life, urgency belonged to someone else. Instead, I sent one question. What happened? The reply came almost instantly. Dad had fallen and broken his wrist. Insurance paperwork had become a mess. Bills were overdue because no one knew the passwords I always managed. My younger brother had assumed Mom was handling everything. Mom thought someone else was helping Dad. The invisible work I had quietly carried for years had simply stopped. Not because I wanted revenge, because I had been lying in a hospital bed. That afternoon, a hospital social worker came to discuss my discharge plan. She noticed my phone lighting up every few seconds. I explained the situation without much emotion. She listened quietly before saying something no one in our family had ever said to me. "Your responsibility right now is to recover. Going home before you're medically ready to solve everyone else's crisis could set your healing back. Let them organize themselves. They'll have to." It wasn't dramatic. She wasn't angry. She simply wrote a note in my discharge paperwork documenting the recommendation that I avoid unnecessary physical and emotional strain during recovery. For some reason, seeing it in writing changed something inside me. Permission from a stranger shouldn't have mattered, yet it did. I finally called Mom that evening. She sounded exhausted. I don't know what we're supposed to do. Neither did I. But I also knew what I wasn't going to do. "I'm still recovering," I said. "I'll explain passwords when I'm home. I can help over the phone when I'm able. But I can't leave the hospital because everything suddenly became urgent." There was a long silence, no apology, no argument. Just breathing. I didn't realize. I know. And I meant it. I don't think any of you woke up that morning deciding I didn't matter. I think you simply believed I would always be there when needed. Reliable people often disappear behind their reliability. People stop seeing the person and only notice the function. I'm trying not to become that function anymore. I was discharged 2 days later. I went home to a quiet apartment. The family group chat was unusually silent. Sometimes I wonder whether things will ever feel normal again. Maybe they won't. Maybe that's the consequence of finally letting people experience the weight you used to carry alone. I don't hate any of you. I answer calls now, just not before I answer the one question I ignored for far too long. How am I doing? It turns out recovery isn't only about the stitches healing. Sometimes it's about discovering that the life you save next has to be your own. Love, the person who finally learned that being needed is not the same as being cared for.